we might as well crack on in that case, guys. Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. We're here to discuss everything, not just in the world of UFC, but MMA in general. We have, of course, joined by myself, Matt, Josh, as always, and Sly as well. And we've got Bellator 277 to talk about. We've got a highly controversial UFC Fight Night card that we will discuss with some surprises, some disappointments, some shocking refereeing that has infuriated me. And of course, we will discuss who won this week's picks as well. As always, please, guys, remember to like the video, leave comments as well. The more interaction you give us, the more we can adjust what we're doing, cater to what you guys are going to want to see. And we have got some other stuff planned as well for the future, so look out for that. Where else to begin, though, with the chronological order of the weekend and Bellator 277. Huge hype, much more stacked card in so many regards. I have not seen all of the fights, but I have seen what I feel is the relevant fights, as well as an absolute barnstormer on the prelims between an 0-1 fighter and an 0-0 fighter that just decided fuck longevity and learning. Let's just leave it all on the line here. But let's talk about...
You did better than me. I didn't see any of the prelims. I only watched the main card.
I didn't see all of the prelims. I saw the knockout. Oh, fuck, what was the guy's name?
There was it's 0-1 against 0-0. There were a fair few professional debutants on the card. I can't reel off names for you.
Well, we will get to that later, but we will talk about AJ Mckee versus Pitbull 2 first. Rematch, highly anticipated. Obviously, AJ Mckee was undefeated going in, won the belt off Pitbull in the first round in pretty dominant fashion. Pitbull was 5-0 in his rematches, though, going into this. He is now 6-0. I did not agree with the decision. Some people did, some people didn't. A lot of people seem to think Pitbull won the first round. I don't quite see that, but I think a 49-46 is ridiculous. But obviously, controversy aside, bit of a flat fight. Very technical. A lot of shit was talked into it. I couldn't really shake the feeling that neither of these guys would do well in the UFC's top 5, in my personal opinion. I don't think... I think Volkanovski is the world champion at featherweight. Quite undisputedly, unquestionably. I think he's the best featherweight in the world. And to be honest, I didn't think that AJ fought particularly well. I thought that he struggled. You didn't see the same kind of demeanor. He wasn't the same kind of...
You're giving him all the blame, none of the credit. Okay, yes, the pressure's seeping in at this stage, but Pitbull does a very good job of nullifying what AJ's good at. And once it got into the championship rounds, it became harder and harder for AJ to effectively mount the effective offense and stand up and the grappling that we kind of expected him. It's a savvy vet against the guy that, despite having had some really high level fights against a couple of big names, effectively has kind of been brought along slowly and has only 14, 15 fights into his career. Yes, it wasn't the barn burner I was hoping for. I did get to enjoy it a little bit more than the first fight, but honestly, I think you've got to kind of say that Pitbull did a very good job of nullifying AJ in this fight. Pressure was definitely on AJ as a defending champion. Of course, there's way more pressure on Pitbull, you would think, trying to get his belt back, but there's a reason the guy does well in rematches. And I think part of that is he doesn't feel the pressure so much to kind of get that one back, in as much as he feels pressure to just execute his game plan and work on those adjustments. Not the best fight and not a chess match in the truest sense, but still a good fight. I understand what you say. It feels a little flat versus how much I've been fucking hyping this fight up. Well, even before the first one, it's probably about a year's worth of hype coming from me. So I'm eating some humble pie right now. But
do you honestly think that was AJ fighting anywhere near the high level that he should be at as champion. Are you telling me that you really think that was a good performance from AJ?
I think that was not that bad a performance, particularly once he was tired in the later rounds and the way he was still working the jab, still trying to get some head movement and some footwork going. This is good experience for him. Is it his best performance? No, but shit, it's fucking Pitbull. What do you expect? Pitbull right now is nowhere near ready for like the Volkanovskis and the Max Holloways of the world. But in his prime, he certainly was. AJ Mckee is not at the level of a Volkanovski or a Holloway, but he is at the level of a Cater, an Allen, Chikadze, Rodriguez. He would be the number 3 guy feasibly in the UFC featherweight division. And this fight is only going to help him close that gap between Volkanovski, Holloway, and himself. So I don't know. I kind of loved it, particularly after the way the co-main. You want to talk about a flat fight?
Well, we'll talk about the co-main.
I needed that
in a second. I find it difficult to separate. I understand what you're saying, but the problem is AJ Mckee was coming in talking like it's not even a question that he's the best featherweight in the world. And I feel as a result of that, I don't know if it's a case of him just being wildly sort of... I think he overestimated how good he was because of how the first title fight went. And I know what you're saying. I just feel like
he's got to say what he's got to say to get paid, because he can and will get paid. But
this is true. This is true.
Pitbull beat fucking Chandler at 55. Okay, no one questions whether or not Michael Chandler's a top 5 UFC lightweight. It's hard to say that the guy in his prime can be like a top 5, if not top 3, top 2 featherweight.
I'll give you that. That's reasonable.
And AJ Mckee is fucking. He's 29, I think, but physically in MMA, you really can peak in your kind of like early 30s, like 32, 33, 34. Not necessarily 45, 55, but AJ Mckee's not really put too much wear on the tires. He's looked after himself quite well. Always seems like he trains smart, has his like old man running the show, and he knows what he's talking about. So I think AJ Mckee's inevitably going to reach that level. I think he will be arguably one of the best featherweights in the world. Not right now. Concede that.
How did you feel about
Sly, did you see this one?
No, I didn't see them, sorry.
The decision, I wouldn't say it's a robbery, but I fucking felt that was very wrong. It was a close fight, but I had that 3 rounds from Mckee. Fucking a 4-1 either way is wrong. I think Big John had it 4-1 for Mckee. I forget which judge lost their mind, but they had it 4-1 for Pitbull. I thought it was 3-2 for Mckee. I thought Mckee fought a good fight. I thought Pitbull brought it out of them. Fucking is what it is.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't feel good. I know you feel the same. Like we had a good conversation about it on Saturday. Like, that's not right.
It didn't feel right. But then again, the problem is I do wonder how much I was swayed by Big John as well, because he was so, obviously he gave that 3rd round to Mckee, which I disagree with.
I think everyone disagreed with that. That would be the extra round he tacked on. But the other rounds, I think he had it.
Commentary bias is a real thing. In fact, that would be a good segment that we should do for next week. Is fights that you think were most swayed. Your opinion was most swayed by the commentary.
Yeah, or even just like worst decision of the week, or most controversial. I can't spitball right now.
We should definitely do a most controversial decisions of all time though. That would be a fun video. It is what it is. Bellator, unfortunately, slightly laid a bit of a duck with these main 2 events, which does happen sometimes, but it is a bit of a shame when there was, I think, probably
not their
more
fault.
eyeballs. It happens. I mean, let's talk about the co-main event, and then we'll move on to the UFC quickly after, because you want to talk about disappointing. It's no contest. You don't even
So
get
how
a
many
Grand
seconds
Prix
away
winner.
from victory was he? How far
There
into
wasn't
the
there
third
wasn't
round
long
was
left in the
that
round.
cut?
There wasn't long left in the round. So
I
I
feel
would
like it was seconds, but
it was seconds
can't
left
remember.
in the round. So
it's
for
like,
Sly,
I'm going to say you didn't see the co-main either, so just to lay it out for you. Corey Anderson, who you might think was going to have his most success in the later rounds, is actually tearing it up in the earlier rounds. And he's certainly got 2, maybe 3 rounds in the bag. When a pure accidental, there are accidental headbutts when you have top position that, kind of are a gray area. This is him coming down trying to land an elbow at the same time that Nemkov is kind of doing like a hip escape to like put his head out of danger. And they both just end up coming head to head. And it just creates a nasty cut over Nemkov's eye, which ends up slightly later on ending the fight. But just accidental headbutt. And if it had been a few seconds, I should have looked it up. However far away from the end of the third round it would have been, Corey Anderson would have taken a technical decision all day. But it didn't quite get past the third round. No. And being a championship fight, it has to be after the third round, right?
Well, there's another factor as well, which is that even if it had got past the third round, because it didn't enter the fourth round, I don't think they would have scored it. So what would have happened is they would have said that it was an accidental clash of heads because it was seen, the ref saw it and Corey Anderson signaled it. So they knew that the cut was caused by an accidental situation. So I'm pretty sure, give it a few seconds or not, it would have been a no contest either way, as far as I know. I can't imagine that you can. Well, actually, it would have been 3 full rounds. It would have been 3 full rounds.
Yeah, if it had been 3 full rounds, it would have been the decision. So if he'd got to the end of the round, I believe they would have scored that. And obviously, the ref, Herb Dean, wasn't it? Does the right thing in kind of bringing the doctor in at that point, and they have to be completely agnostic as to the time and the implications of what time it is in a round and whatnot. But yeah,
it might have been Mark Smith, the ref. I think the ref was Mark Smith. I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe whoever it was, if they had just let it run to the end of the round, which was completely, possible, then Corey Anderson would be a fucking champion right now. But
well,
either way, I'm fucking hyped for the rematches.
I think the shame of it is that so first round was close. You could give it to Corey Anderson, or you could have given it to Nemkov. Next 2 rounds, Corey Anderson just wrestle fucks him. Very dominant, could take him down at will, keep him down. He's 2-1 up going into that fourth round if it gets past the third round. And really just looking like Nemkov can't deal with the wrestling. And this saves Nemkov. He technically retains his belt. He has another 4 months, 5 months, however long it is, to prepare and train and try and deal with the wrestling. But it's, Corey Anderson's an unlucky guy.
Yeah.
He had bad luck in the UFC. Everything seemed to be going well.
Let's be honest. He didn't get cut. He didn't re-sign. So he loses his title eliminator fight to the eventual champ Yamahovic. Signed, or actually in between. I don't know if he technically signed with Bellator already, but he has that nasty kind of concussive injury where he ends up passing out and smashing his face up on like a gravel car park. But he's making more money now. I think he got more than Nemkov. I think I'm getting this right. I think he was 250K all in, win or lose. Nemkov was on 80 to win, 80 to show, 80 to win. So Nemkov walks away with 80, Corey with 250. Obviously, they don't get the fucking million he would have got if it had gone a few seconds later. But they're just going to redo the fight with the stakes the exact same way on the line. So if he beats Nemkov in the rematch, it'll be 250 plus $1 million. It's way more than he was getting in the UFC. Probably more than he'd be getting as a new light heavyweight champion in the UFC, if we're honest. So a bit unlucky, but at the same time, the guy is just getting another 250K fight against someone that I'm pretty sure. I thought Nemkov had the wrestling advantage going into this fight. It wasn't the case. And you know that if he's losing 2 of the first 3 rounds, or I thought 3 of the first 3 rounds, that Corey Anderson's only going to be better in the 4th and the 5th. The one advantage that everyone gives Corey Anderson is that he's going to have better cardio than you. He's just superhuman in that regard. He works too hard to not have that one.
I don't even think it's down to that. I just think it's Nemkov is very well-rounded, but his wrestling wasn't on the same level as Corey's. And you didn't see a situation where Nemkov was going to be able to land anything hard enough in the seconds he's going to have on the feet. There was nothing that didn't make you think that every other round that happened, Corey Anderson's going to take him down, keep him down, and land damaging shots. And I was surprised. I didn't see that coming. Fair play, Corey. The cool thing as well is that that's the one division that I think has a really strong argument to say our champion might be better than the UFC's champion, particularly if Corey Anderson won that belt, because he dismantled Glover Teixeira when he was in the UFC. So it's a competitive division. I'm excited about that rematch, but still very damn squib to these first two, to these main and co-main event title fights. It was a shame because Aaron Pico put on a clinic, absolutely dismantled his opponent.
Aaron Pico should have been arrested after the 2nd round. That was just fucking assault at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
and if you
fair play to his opponent coming in short notice, and he was fucking game for it. I don't want to like rip on him like that, but
talking about game for it, if you get a chance, the full fight's on YouTube. Watch Luna versus Socrates Hernandez from Bellator 277 prelims. Luna was making his debut. Hernandez was 0-1. It's his 2nd fight. And these guys had, I think, what's been described as a Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner-esque fight. Low level, nothing but heart, swinging haymakers at each other, and Luna just does not get tired. Really, really exciting. Socrates Hernandez took more damage than any man should take in his 2nd professional fight. Like, there were points in the 1st round that you could have stepped in and ended it, and this guy got all the way to the 3rd. Zombie on the feet before he was eventually, his misery was ended. But very entertaining and recommended watching. Which ends
off. At this point, I lock Scott Coker up.
Nah, Scott Coker's a good guy. Don't lock him up. But
he's putting on some one-sided ass weapons.
He is putting on some one-sided ass weapons, though. That is very true. Let's move away from Bellator. That ends our Bellator coverage, and let's talk about this UFC card. It was a little light in depth going in. We got some surprises. We got some controversy. Let's talk about the good things first, which was the main event. Luque was rematching Belal Muhammad. Don't think any of us gave Belal much of a chance, apart from Sly, who just loves to be different, and every time he's different, it works out for him. It's absolutely
thank you very much.
I did not see Belal Muhammad pulling that off, man. That was...
Guys, it's very simple. Belal Muhammad beat, what's the fucking Karate Kid guy?
Stephen Thompson.
Stephen Thompson. For me, that was kind of like, if he's beaten Stephen Thompson, he'll beat Vincent Luque in the same way. He kind of did, really. Actually, no, he was actually better than Vincent Luque on the feet for most of the fight. He got more total strikes.
In the latter half of the fight.
The wrestling set up the strikes.
Still.
It wasn't even, it was just the commitment to the fucking game plan, because he kept switching stances and skirting left to right and left to right. He didn't care if he was circling towards a power hand as Luque switched stances. He just wanted to get him to switch stance so that he could time a double leg, or so that he could get him napping while he had his near side leg within reach for the single leg. And he was getting those takedowns every round. And as the fight wore on, it got more and more difficult for Luque to try and read, because Luque was nullifying that in the 1st round and somewhat in the 2nd round, just by cutting the cage off. And he was like, right, every time you circle to my power hand, I'm going to make you pay for one way or another. I'm going to catch you when you dip out to my right, or when you come into the left again, I'm just going to like close that distance. I'm going to put in a 1-2. And he really made it hard for Belal. And I thought, watching that 1st round, Belal Muhammad might wilt in this one. I don't know if Luque is going to get tired first and he does a lot of damage, but shit, as it went on, and he made that top control count. It didn't matter when he was skirting left to right. Luke was having to switch stances. He knew that he could technically win this chess match, but Bilal Muhammad has not faded in the same way that you have faded across these rounds. And yeah, fucking Bully B just got it done. I really thought Luque coming into this fight for me, I was like, you can't convince me that on his night he can't give his former teammate and current champion Kamaru Usman a run for his money. Now, I have to say, I knew Bilal Muhammad was championship caliber, but now I have to say, the guy's got a chance, right? It's a slim shot. It's a slim
Against Usman.
chance, but
Against Usman.
He's a terrible matchup.
He's got no chance. He's got no chance.
It's a terrible matchup. But look, I didn't think he could do that against Luque.
No,
he's got a fucking shot.
I think there are a few factors at play. I think quite often when you have a rematch that's 6 years apart, it's a long time for there to be the benefit of confidence of the guy who won the first one. That tends to play much more if it's a recent rematch. That fades away. The guy who won the first one is far more likely to be maybe a little overly confident. And it's the guy who lost that first one that knows all the things that he's worked on and changed and done well. Bilal's a very good wrestler. And the more times he was able to take Luque down every single round and Luque wasn't really able to get back up, it just puts that extra bit of fear every single round. I can't be taken down. I can't be taken down. I can't be taken down. And that is always going to limit the number of strikes that Luque is going to throw and increase the amount of strikes that Bilal Muhammad can throw as he mixes it up. And the game plan was perfect. It's the thing that Luque, I think, really struggled with was the stance switching from Bilal Muhammad. So you think all the problems that Luque's having to deal with, he's worried about the wrestling, he's having to deal with a lot of lateral movement. Just when he's starting to get angles that he thinks he can work with, he's having his opponent switch stances on him that's having to make him reprogram. And I think, like you say, it wasn't just that he got grinded down. I think it was that he just got a bit mentally overworn as well. There were so many different things.
Yeah, that first takedown was like a big fucking deal in that fight.
Agreed.
Because that's before that, he was dealing with the switch dancing perfectly, in that he was almost defensively agnostic to it. And he just kept playing foot position battle and just tagging Bilal and just, kind of, I felt that whole first round up until the takedown, Luque had done enough damage to take that round for me. But mentally, I think, because it came off a switch stance, again, he's circled to his left, circled back round to like Luque's like power hand, and done the switch stance. And as Luque switches stance, it's not even that he's brought his near leg closest to Bilal's like near hand and near leg for the fucking his lead leg for the single leg. It's just as he switches, Bilal's like explode. And it wasn't quite a double leg, but it didn't need to be. It was just straight hip over hip. You're going down. You cannot defend this. And up until that point, he had been doing such a good job by just cutting off the cage and just tagging him every time he tried to like move away from the power hand again. Because I'll be honest, the first minute or two, I thought, what's Bilal doing? He circles around to the power hand. I mean, it looks like he catches himself and just starts skipping to his right again. But then when you see it sprinkled in with like the switch stance, you're like, oh, okay. He's just trying to force a reaction. He just needs that split second of just, I'm a little off balance. I've put the wrong foot forward. I've left my hips a little exposed, and boom. And yeah, was it one takedown per round?
Yeah.
What were the stats on that slide?
It was close to that. Yeah, it was about one takedown per round because he aimed to get it.
Because that's all it needed to be, right?
Yeah.
Luque defended a couple, but essentially, the game plan was fucking on point.
It's a great performance, man. And listen, when you get into that top 5, top 10 kind of situation, a lot of the times, the difference between two guys is who's better prepared on the night. And Bilal was better prepared on the night, and that's happened for him in his last 3 fights, really. The Wonderboy Thompson fight, he did exactly what he needed to do, and he's repeated it here. I think the tricky thing for him now is that once you get past Luque, everybody else in that top 5 now is a supremely good wrestler or has a very high level of wrestling. And I don't know whether or not Bilal Muhammad's style will work as well against a Colby Covington, against a Leon Edwards, who I appreciate is more of a striker, but obviously fantastic grappling as well.
Yeah.
It's advanced a lot in the last few years. You know, Usman, Gilbert Burns, Hamzat now obviously in that top 5. All of these guys probably, even if their wrestling isn't quite at his level, I think have the advantage of maybe just a little bit more natural athleticism, a little bit longer, a little bit faster, or a little bit stronger. And that's where I think that, you know, how good is Bilal Muhammad? We're going to find out in these next fights, because he's not going to have the same grappling advantage over these guys.
No, but I would say he has the MMA advantage. I just love the way this guy fights. I feel like every gym, every fight camp is going to tell you this is the smartest way to fight. And yes, everyone in the top 5, more or less in the top 10, on paper is a horrible matchup for Bilal for one reason or another. But Bilal has kind of pushed it to the point now where I have to admit that he's a bad matchup for a lot of these guys. Colby's the one where I'm like, that would fucking suck for Bilal. And obviously
Colby,
Chimaev, Burns,
Gilbert
Usman,
Burns.
they
You know, the thing is Colby would have a cardio and a volume advantage over Bilal. And I don't know how. I think Bilal could probably take him down. I don't think he could keep Colby down.
no,
Leon,
everything that Bilal's great at, Colby's a little bit better at. And the stuff that Bilal's better at than Colby isn't enough of a difference maker to win a fight, in my opinion, 99 times out of 100 kind of thing.
I agree with that.
You might get that freak one, but...
And then you look at other ones, it's like Gilbert Burns. I don't know how much time Bilal Muhammad would want to spend on the ground with Gilbert Burns. You know, that fact
he would mix it up.
Away. Yeah, he can mix it up.
It would be a lot of cage work without the dirty boxing. Just, you know, wait for the referee separation, frustrate, take the top control where you can, tag him where you can. You know that he can throw more strikes than Durinho in a fight. It's just not getting hit with anything stupid. If you can nullify all of the grappling threat by just maintaining underhooks up against the cage, throwing in a few takedowns where you know you can get him, because he's so good at crafting those moments. I think Durinho is a much better fight for him than Colby. For similar reasons, I think Chimaev or even Usman could be a better fight for him than Colby. All of them he would be going into as an underdog. All of those matchups, I'm picking against him. But he's fucking at that level now. I can't deny it anymore. He's championship level.
Dude, the thing I'd say to that is that 3 fights ago, pretty much not that much longer than a year ago. So we're not talking about a Bilal Muhammad that has improved massively since then compared to the improvements he made when he fought Luque. Had that no contest with Leon Edwards, where it looked like men against fucking boys. Okay, men against boys. And on paper, Leon Edwards should be the only guy in that top 5 that he would have on paper at least one thing that he should be able to do better than the other guy. Every single one of those guys, apart from Colby, can knock you out with one punch. And Bilal gets hit. I love Bilal, but for me, I'm not putting him in that championship level until I see the next fight. Because there's no Masvidals anymore. There's no Wonder Boys in that top 5. These are well-rounded, can do fucking everything, supreme athlete guys that you are going into that cauldron with to be champ. So it's not real for me yet. Like, does he deserve to be a top 5 fighter? Hell fucking yeah. Do I like Bilal Muhammad? Hell fucking yeah. I didn't pick the guy, but I was still actually kind of pleased that he won. I was really impressed with his game plan. It was kind of... I like sometimes to be surprised, particularly by a guy like Bilal. But I'm not going to put him in those same category as those other guys, because he hasn't.
It's like you picked him. Are you putting him at championship level?
No. I don't think he can be anyone that's in front of him. I don't think he can be Usman, Colby, Leon Edwards, Chimaev, or Burns. No, I think he's...
No, man, I think on his night, his overall MMA strategy, I just think when he has a perfect night, he will lose a round here or there, but across a 5-round fight, I feel like he can take 3 off anybody.
You're very kind to him.
Well, watch this
Yeah, I
space
am.
and watch this space, and we shall see. For Luque, man, I think the Masvidal fight is the one you've got to make.
I mean, he gets a big fucking fight. That's all I know. This was a really good fight. I feel like they're both like right fucking there. I feel like Luque could beat Colby Covington. I feel like Luque could maybe beat Dorino. They're still teammates, right? I don't see that fight ever happening.
Dorino
Not
was
for
in his.
anything less than a bout.
Dorino was either
But-
in his corner or he was watching live. There's no way that those guys are ever
Yeah.
going to fight.
Well, if it's for a bout, they have a very a well-established precedent that they won't be dicks about it, and I could see that being fine. In fact, didn't fucking Usman trained with Dorino for his fight with Chimaev. So yeah, these guys are all good. They're cool. They have a very good camp down there in South Florida.
Very true. Well, they're doing good things.
Two of the best gyms in the same fucking town.
Things happen, man. People get attracted to places become. I suppose it's like Silicon Valley or all of these places. Somebody gets it right one place, people come in, and then it gets overcrowded, and people are already there and think, "Fuck, I don't really want to leave South Florida."
So, like, Coconut Creek's like the MMA version of Palo Alto.
You could make an argument.
Oh, you can definitely make an argument. Like, between Sanford and fucking ATT, you've got just about every fighter you ever cared about. It's ridiculous.
Guys, let's move on to the rest of this card because I've got to have a rant about Dan Migliata. We're going to talk about the co-main event, and we're going to talk about the Budai versus Chris Bonnet event fight as a double package Sombo.
I feel like you don't like technical decisions.
I don't like these technical decisions at all because for a couple of reasons. So both are ref by Dan Migliata. Both have an illegal strike thrown, landed hard that ends up ending the fight. And in both situations, Dan Migliata decided in his fucking egotistical brain that he's going to make sure that a Sterling Yarn situation never happens again. Not on my watch. DQ, not a chance, mate. We're just calling it. Whatever the situation is, doesn't matter. I'm just going to say, wasn't intentional. End it here.
Wait.
Technical decision, let's go.
No, there is a difference between illegal and blatantly illegal. They have that discretion for a reason.
Okay. The Budai Chris Barnett fight, he gets 2 warnings about throwing strikes to the back of the head before it lands.
It does look, though, like he's not trying to land to the back of the head. He's trying to throw that short, low elbow in just past the hairline. And the warnings were for shots that, as I saw it, were right on the foul line, okay? Whereas the Yarn Sterling one, you can't make excuses for it. It's blatantly illegal all day long. And then for the knee in the co-main, Baheo is this fucking far away from a legal shot. Like on the replay, you're really having to get into it. You're having to go frame by frame to even be like, was his hand up? And do you remember why they changed the rule? And it is a rule change in some jurisdictions. It is to avoid these kind of situations. I totally see why he has gone to technical decision over DQ. I don't feel like either of them were blatantly illegal. They weren't trying to foul them. It wasn't like a Eddie Alvarez against Dustin Poirier kind of moment. It was more of a Gegard Mousasi against Chris Weidman kind of moment. You know, it was.
I think it shows a carelessness. Whether it's intentional or not, you are in control of your weapons in there. It's your responsibility to throw legal strikes. And I feel that this sets a really dangerous precedent that what guys will do is once they go 2 rounds up in a contest, fuck it. I'll just, sorry, he was aiming for the side of his head. Oh, I guess I win now.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
don't know.
work.
I feel. Yeah,
The
you can
disqualification
tell when there's a
has to
blatant
be
foul, right?
the penalty for a foul has to be severe enough to discourage people from doing it. Otherwise, what's going to happen is in all of those situations, guy on one knee, I haven't heard a grounding call, guys showing me the back of his head. If you create an idea that I can see a ref and I know that he has a predetermination to not go down this route because he's just decided he doesn't want to see a guy win on DQ and is bringing that in, and then as a result, I can skirt that line and I know that I can actually probably extend it and take advantage of the benefit of the doubt to guarantee a win by fouling my opponent, particularly back of their heads, because the difference is the
I
back of
don't
the head
think you
strike.
can do it that way. I think you can do it in the same way that most fighters do, whether they're winning or losing. And until we have open scoring, they'll never really truly be in this position. But take like an Eric Anders, loves throwing that knee right on the fucking line. The knee that lands hardest is the one that's barely legal. That is very much my viewpoint on this. Eric Anders does a great job of landing that knee when he can, but it has bit him in the ass. You can fucking tell he's not a dirty fighter. He's trying to land a legal shot. He just fucked it up. And as soon like if you are if you know you're 2 rounds up and you're in the 3rd round and you're winning the round and a point deduction is not going to hurt you here, you're not going to deliberately throw an illegal shot because you know that that's going to equate to DQ. And you can tell the difference, but you might start throwing shots that are on the line, which, to be honest, a lot of fighters are already doing. So I don't think it sets a dangerous precedent. I understand where you're coming from a little bit, but I do still feel like you can tell. You can tell when it's like a blatantly illegal shot that is worthy of a DQ. You can tell when it's accidental, and you can tell when it's worth taking a point. Also, let's not forget, in between 1 point and a DQ, there's also the 2-point deduction. But it's just one of those freaky fucking things, and it's not well established enough, even though it's been happening for a long fucking time. Even at this stage, we're not well established enough with it that once it happens, both fighters are like, I don't know how this is going to land. I don't know how to play this one. And I think to Barnett's detriment when we get to that fight. But I do agree with you in principle. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. But I do want to give Dan a break because I think you can tell the difference.
Can I tell you why this irks me, particularly when it's related to back of the head strikes?
God.
They're extremely dangerous. A singular strike, even if it's not that hard, can completely take away a fighter's ability to continue or be anywhere near as effective, which is the whole reason that they're banned in the first place. I have a real hatred of the fact that a lot of guys will just kind of go absolute fucking red mist blitz with no regard for where their punches are landing when they think they've got a guy hurt. And I numerously, week after week, see a variety of guys get struck in the back of the head and have multiple shots hit the back of their head. And then the referee just calls it a win and all the rest. And I think it's absolute total bullshit. And even if it's not intentional, what I really don't like is this idea, my guy's kind of hurt, and I can just fucking go, I just want to finish this guy. Fuck it. The ref's going to give me the benefit of the doubt because I'm clearly not trying to aim. But I'm just being completely reckless with my tools. It's not fighting. It's not martial arts. And it's not fair to the other guy at all. And it happens week after week. This was only really noticeable because the ref picked it up. And you had a heavyweight fight where the back of the head shot was a singular hard strike, where usually it's lower weight classes with multiple strikes going all over. But do we not think it's a coincidence that this is happening very shortly after the whole Aljamain Sterling regaining the belt situation, with this being an argument in? And it just so happens to be from a referee who constantly interprets the rules his own way. This is a guy who breaks up clinch exchanges in 10 seconds. It's a ref I don't like, and I'm not happy about it.
He's good, but he's not the best. But this has nothing to do with Aljo and Jan. This is... because, like, honestly, like, where do we draw the line? Like, Cyril Gahn versus JDS? I'll call that legal.
Well, that wasn't a back of the head strike. He got
It
him on
was,
the
but he
side.
turned.
No. You can see where it lands. It's on the side.
For me,
The
it looked
back of
like
the
it
head
was
is a
illegal,
very
but all right.
specific square.
I have more than one example, so we're in luck here. Matt Brown, Diego Sanchez. That was definitely the back of the head. Well, where do we fall on that one? Diego Sanchez
there.
himself
That's
says
not the back of
that's
the
an
head.
illegal shot. It wasn't. It's in the back. It's in the illegal zone. Diego Sanchez himself says, like, you know, what's he supposed to do in that situation? He's going for a legal shot. You know, Diego Sanchez himself is like, oh, I'm good with that shot. But that's a knockout in the back of the head. It happens all the time because at some point, like, you're just opening up the possibility that people can just literally turn their face around and stop defending just to garner a DQ win or a point deduction
different.
or a breakup or whatever. It's not, Matt, though, because once you're in a finishing mode, yes, you're going a little harder. Yes, you're a little more reckless, but your opponent still has the responsibility is on them to defend themselves, you know? And if the back of the head presents itself, and the back of the head is a much smaller area than people think. It's not like the hairline for the viewers. It's, you know, it really is the back of the head.
You can draw a square. You can draw a square.
Yeah.
On where it is.
The Dave Barnett one looks like he's trying to land cleanly on the far side of the basically the fault line, but unfortunately he's fighting a much shorter opponent who's going down to avoid the shot. You know, I don't think it's a blatant illegal shot, and fucking with the other one, it's just. I think there is a difference. I think you can tell the difference. Dan Magliari, he's good. He's not great. There's not a lot of great MMA referees. There are better MMA referees than there are judges. Both sides of that really need to be elevated, though, for this sport. It's a very dangerous sport.
Did you see the illegal strikes, like?
Yeah, I'm completely with Matt on this. Like, they just we need to find a way to almost punish them, like even if it's like in the future, like if someone was to like just go mental and hit you in the nuts 2 times, you know, that would not stand. So the back of the head, knowing how dangerous it is and knowing that that is the rules.
At what point do we call the foul, though? You know, at what point does Ngannou get stopped at every exchange because he's not a technical fighter? You know,
It's no, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's if you are wild, you're running that risk, and you're the one to blame if something goes wrong. I would also say I would like to differentiate between strikes that are thrown and aimed at a legal part of the guy's head, but then as the strike is being thrown, the person moves out of the way. That did not happen with Chris Barnett.
Right.
Okay. The Diego Sanchez one, yeah, he does turn away from that. I don't recall it landing on the back of the head, what I would consider to be back of the head. But I haven't seen that fight.
As he had his leg up, as he brings his leg down, it spins him around. It very much hits him in the back of the head. Okay, but, you know, what the fuck is he supposed to do at that point, you know?
I'd say at least in that situation, he's aimed at the correct part of the head. I'm talking about guys are in this position or on the ground, and guys are just laying in. And it happens so often. So often. Now, listen, in both of these situations, okay, Bidet and Boradio comfortably winning the fight. Had it been a DQ, you can't say anything other than how desperately unfortunate for them. But here's the kicker. They would have learned from the situation. Now they've been rewarded.
Wait, but they're not. So you think they were trying to throw dirty strikes in both examples, both fights?
No, I think they would. I think they were careless.
Getting away with it.
I think they were careless, and I think they smelled blood, and they were just going for it, and as a result, lost the concentration that you need to just double check.
Wait, hang on, no, because what we're talking about is putting it in a man's head when the finish is close, and your opponent is no longer moving in the same way you anticipate them to move, and is leaving themselves a lot more stationary. That you need to slow the fuck up because you don't want to throw away this one for a DQ. And you're going to put hesitation in their heads and doubt in their heads. And there's the old adage in football that the bad tackles where players get injured, the tackles where players are in two minds and players start pulling out. And I don't think we're necessarily going to avoid the bad shots. What we are going to do is we're going to discourage people kind of going for the finish, which ultimately is going to leave them open to getting finished. It's going to leave them open to comebacks. It's just, I don't think it's the right way to go about business. I think it's not that big of an issue, to be honest. Getting hit in the back of the head is awful, but you are going in there as an informed, consenting participant, and you have a duty to like defend yourself. I didn't see either of those strikes as being dirty. I don't think that they were that either Bidet or Baheo are dirty fighters. I honestly, the right decisions, going to technical decisions was the right thing for me in both situations. They both get point deduction. Just Baheo. Did Baheo even get point deduction? I don't think it mattered.
I don't think anyone got them because it was already...
I didn't register it.
I don't know.
That's the other thing that's annoying about it, is it was just called as an accidental blow. And with the back of the head, can we all agree on this? When a guy gets hit in the nuts, when a guy gets eye poked, the fight stops. When a guy gets hit in the back of the head, 9 times out of 10, what the referee does is say, watch the back of the head, watch the back of the head. And I think this in itself creates the entire precedent that frustrates me. Nobody gets hit in the nuts.
I feel like if it's a significant strike to the back of the head, if it's a significant strike to the back of the head, I feel like I usually see a separation. And they're afforded up to 5 minutes, and occasionally I will see a point deduction. If it's on the line, if it's accidental, if it's not a really nasty blow, then I hear a warning. But I do feel like they do a very good job at catching these, and as they did this weekend. So 2 times it was a significant shot that would end up being a little shot. They stopped the fight.
Okay, so we should only stop the action for eye pokes if they're significant. Should only stop the action for nut shots if they're significant.
Honestly, I do kind of feel that way, but I'm not going to push for that to get changed from how it is. But yeah, if we start breaking it down so the refs have fucking like at the time video replay that doesn't have to be in a fight ending sequence and isn't necessarily going to call the end of the fight, if we have the ability to retroactively apply point deductions in between rounds once replays looked at, if we have open scoring, yes, we can talk about making this a perfect sport with no fouls and being fair. But unfortunately, when you have 2 people dynamically moving and with a full range of different kind of attacks, techniques, and movements that you can do with MMA, it's kind of inevitable that occasionally you're going to get caught either with a nut shot, an eye poke, and I'm not even just talking about the gloves being fucking shit. It's just sometimes it fucking happens. That Arnold Allen one where he's pushing off the guy's shoulder, slips and goes into the eye. I'm pretty sure there was one this weekend where it was just a weird fucking just glancing kind of shot and just accidentally catches them because they've been warned before for not having their fingers.
That was the Nunes versus Sam Hughes fight. Yeah.
So Hughes lost the point. That was a 3rd round. And I thought maybe a bit unfair, but sure. But yeah, no, Matt, I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't be weighed the same. But honestly, how are you actually going to enforce that without fucking people over and making it a worse sport, or ultimately maybe like a more dangerous sport, because people will be going in more cautious and leaving themselves open for really nasty shots?
I don't disagree. I don't agree with that, because there are certain positions where you are very unlikely to land legal shots. I mean, we're talking about, for example, with the back of the head situation, you were talking about maybe 2 or 3 specific positions in a finishing sequence where you need to be more cautious about this. That is not asking a lot.
I need to go back and rewatch the replay, but how many illegal shots does Bidet actually land at,
Probably only 2 or 3, but my argument being, and this only just supports my argument, which is that they don't get called the same as other illegal shots. Refs kind of see it. They're not 100% sure, so they just try and give a warning to watch it. 9 times out of 10. Rewatch a variety of fights. Just watch a bunch of finishing sequences and look for how many shots are landed on the back of the head and how many times, week after week, you'll hear a ref say, watch the back of the head. Okay? And all I'm saying is that that's not the same as every other foul. It's just this awkward thing that happens because it's MMA and guys go down in weird
It does,
positions.
but every time the ref says watch the back of the head, it's not a protocol. It's not see a shot to the back of the head, say watch the back of the head. It's anything anywhere near the line, they remind the fighters. They're proactive about it. I've heard refs say watch the back of the head after 5 or 6 perfectly legal strikes land, and I had no complaints with it because it was the right thing to say, because you needed to remind the fighter at that point as they're turning over or whatever, don't hit them in the back of the head. Back of the head does not mean they've hit him in the back of the head. I would need to go back and watch it, but I have no problem with either of the technical decisions this weekend. I think they were both bang on, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll
and led to the right result.
No arguments there. No arguments there. But we will agree to disagree on the specific results themselves, the manner of the results themselves. Let's go through some of these other fights. Miguel Baeza had another rough night. Fiallo is fucking beast, man. Really good boxing. Heavy hands. Set that up really nicely. I can only hope that this starts to improve your opinion of Michel Pereira, because it's making his win over Fiallo aging a little bit nicer after that.
Pereira's so good, man.
Yeah, the further he gets from that Tristan Connolly loss, the more respect I have for him. But Fiallo was amazing. But Baeza was having so much success being long. I don't understand why he even kept allowing himself to get caught up in the clinch, or even just going for those like short kind of power shots. Just stay on the outside and win the fucking fight.
I feel like Fiallo started to recognize the leg kicks and was doing a good job of kind of using that as a chance to kind of close distance. And I think Baeza, he knows, he's good enough to know that he should and does throw a lot of leg kicks, but he doesn't necessarily set them up very well. He'll throw a lot of them very naked. You can kind of see them coming. A lot of things start with the leg kick. And this is becoming a problem for him, man, where in his last 3 fights, he's had early success, and then the opponent has been able to either land something harder back or has been able to adjust and then take the game into what they want to do. And this seems to be a bit of an issue for him. You know, this was a fight of ranges, and Baeza needed to be at kickboxing range. Fiallo wanted it in boxing range, and he was able to establish boxing range and do damage.
I almost wonder if Caramel Thunder might not be better off being a small middleweight and just being the fast volume guy.
I think
maybe he's still got a good frame for the middleweight division. You know, he could still implement that same game plan, but he could just be light enough on his feet that he's not getting caught with these same power shots, because the guy looks fucking good when he's good, and when he gets his light switched off, it's fucking it. But fair play to Fiallo. Those uppercuts in the clinch were fucking brutal. Yeah, and he finishes well after that.
I hope they don't cut Baeza, because that's 3 losses in a row. You got to look at who he's fought. Like, Fiallo's clearly good. We know Chaos Williams is good. We know Ponzi is good.
Depends on the money again.
True.
I think he's probably on the right kind of contract for them to continue.
You said that about Kay Hansen, though, and it didn't help her.
It didn't help Kay Hansen, though. But I feel Baez has actually flashed a lot of potential, whereas Kay Hansen was 1 and 3, right?
So yeah, and the person she beat
different situation.
The person she beat, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Jimmy.
Wasn't Matt Brown? Let's put it that way.
It wasn't Matt Brown. Sorry, as I just bring the fights up very quickly. As well as Miguel Baeza. We're going to go through this way. Brenna Silva looked pretty impressive against Yanan Wu.
Yeah, this is the first decision in her career, right?
Yeah.
Surprised she didn't get the finish.
No, but hey, looked good. I thought she looked good against Fiora. I think we all felt like she had the upper hand on this one. I was a bit more back and forth on this, but I'm glad I went for Silva on my picks. Not that it fucking helped me win any points in the end, but we will get to that in a second. Pat Savatini, I actually kind of thought TJ Laramie looked really good in the first round. I was really surprised. And then Pat was just able to kind of grind and get things into where he needed them to be, round 2 and 3.
Same as I feel about Mohammed. Like, you can understand how to fight the sport and you can understand how to game plan for things, but executing a game plan efficiently and ruthlessly and not doing it, two big fucking differences. And as good as TJ Laramie was in that first round, Pat Sabatini's a beast.
Adjusted well.
Almost disappointed he didn't get the finish, but the guy did look like he was not necessarily in cruise control, but just being smart about it and he didn't kill himself to win that fight. He just won it by a good, hefty margin. Do you know what I mean?
Talking about guys not killing themselves to win the fight, Munir Lizez, just a very technical bit of back and forth, but I thought he controlled things quite well. Obviously, it was a short notice opponent, but he needed the win. He got the win. He got the rounds in his belt.
Yeah, it looks a little vulnerable when he kept going to the body, though. Like, I love body work, but Jesus Christ, don't be Luke Rockhold. Don't be coming in, hands down, chin up. Just that's going to bite him in the ass. I love that he's got that versatility, but maybe don't fuck around. If you're just going to decision a guy, just stay on the outside. You know, you've already got the guy beat. You don't need to make him tired. You're not going to get the finish at this point. You're clearly not going for it in that way. Stop taking chances. That pissed me off a little bit. Anyone else feel the same? Just me.
Going to the prelims, I didn't actually see this fight, but Devin Clark KOs William Knight in the third round at heavyweight. We didn't really discuss that this was at heavyweight. I definitely didn't see it coming.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been more confident in Knight at heavyweight, but I was wrong.
I knew it was at heavyweight, and I went for a Knight KO. And all the way up until that third round, I thought I was getting it. Yeah. Hey, fair play. Good fight, fun fight. Devin Clark did well.
What was the knockout like?
Sleeping on him. It's just one of those things where Knight's starting to look a little tired, gets countered, and did he even get countered? It was just some sloppy work in the setup. I'm trying to picture it now. But yeah, Devin Clark just comes in, cleans his clock. Clark was getting his ass whooped. Not getting whooped for that entire fight. Knight, for me, is 2 rounds up, very clearly. And it looked like Knight was just going to kind of take charge of that third round, and Clark was wilting, and then Clark explodes and White's on the ground. I couldn't remember who Sly picked on this one, so at this point, I'm very worried that Sly's going to win the picture.
I thought you did all the counting. Have you not done the maths?
Put your fucking picks in the group chat again.
I did.
He did put his picks in the group chat.
Did he? Wait,
yeah,
that was chat? In the pick chat or the other chat?
Well, there's so many
group
chats, man.
He put it in the other chat. That's why.
We have 2.
We have one just for the picks.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, I saw that. Sorry, guys.
I'm too stupid to check the main chat.
I just, I feel like I have many chats with you guys. I don't know. Well, did I win? I think I won.
Just to confirm what happened in the pick show is we had a true tie between Sly and Josh. They tied not only on the results, but the methods, which means that we are having to split this point in half between both of them, which means as I bring up the scoreboards now, I'm still in the bottom with 0. Sly has got 1.5, and I think Josh is up to 3.5 now. Unless I'm remembering that wrong. I'm not looking at the table.
That's
doing that in editing. It sounds right. So, I mean, terrible weekend for me. Not only did one of you win, I lost, and you both technically won. So this is worrying times for Matt. Lost it by one fight, one fucking fight. And I think I would have had more methods than you as well. So I could have stolen the whole show, but it was not to be. It would have been if I'd picked Devin Clark. Anyway.
Or Badai. That's the real reason you sold with Badai, right?
Or Badai. You know why as well? Because if we could remove those two, if we could not count those and remove them from the pick show, it's a different fucking story, boy.
Yeah, but it isn't.
but it isn't, which is heartbreaking.
We talk about how good fucking Rafa Garcia is.
We can do, but I'll quickly say Pani Kanzad won. I think we all expected that. Drakkar Close.
Not bad. That was a good fucking fight.
It was a good fucking fight. Good fucking
Drakkar
finish.
Close was amazing. If
Close,
right, he's not 100% by his own admission. He's still a fucking beast, eh?
Yeah. If that is not 100%, then 100% is a scary fucking dude. Rafa Garcia, man, we kind of predicted this. Man's arrived. Couple of rough fights, but that was the shit, man.
Yeah.
Complete.
Did anyone pick sub? I didn't know he could fucking out grapple people like that.
On his pick show went for Ronson.
Oh man.
Yeah, sorry guys. If any fans of Beat the Bookie are here, I think you lost money on that one.
I really thought you were going to say he picked Garcia by sub. So.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, Rafa Garcia, he's got it. I trust the opinion of Cub Swanson when it comes to a fighter's ability. Something tells me that guy knows what to look for.
I mean, yeah, shit. The guy's been in the game forever. He's at the top of the tree for so long.
Very much so. Let's move down. We've already talked about Chris Barnett and Bidet. Jordan Levitt against Trey Ogden. This was a pretty close fight. Levitt got the nod, but did anyone kind of massively disagree with this?
Yup. I had it for Ogden. What are you saying, Sly?
Which one was this? Barnett. Is this a Barnett fight?
No,
Jordan Levitt. Tyler.
Yeah, I had Levitt by sub. I didn't see the fight.
I thought Ogden won.
Yeah. I thought this was more of a robbery than the Mckee Pitbull fight, if I'm honest. No one picked Ogden, so it didn't really impact our picks. But I do like to feel like I'm smart. And no one had a good week this week. We all had okay weeks. So when you have okay weeks and you get in these ones slipping through the net, it's a little bit of a slap in the face.
This is true.
A little less professional. Jordan Levitt did okay. Ogden, frankly, exceeding expectations. I don't want to say he did fantastic because, well, the judges fucked him out of that sentiment, I suppose. Did pretty fucking good. Not a great fight, but I don't understand how Levitt got the nod. I really don't. It's like, can you pull up the stats for us on this one?
Well, no, Levitt landed a lot of leg kicks.
Let me get up.
Man, that was harder to say than it should be. Try saying that as fast as you can 10 times. Levitt landed a lot of leg kicks. Levitt landed a lot of leg kicks. Levitt landed a lot of leg kicks.
No,
Levitt landed 11. Levitt landed 11 leg kicks. 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 Fucking hell, my face is tired. Alright, that's 3. That's 3 in my face is tired.
Right. He landed 52 leg kicks.
52 is a lot.
That's a lot of leg kicks, isn't it?
And that's the thing. It's like, it's not very often that you see leg kicks really getting taken into account by judges, but that second round does seem to be down to whether or not you know how you're scoring the leg kicks compared to the punches. He wasn't exactly slamming them in though. I mean, those were they were tap kicks.
Yeah, he did look a little behind the ball the whole fight. This guy seemed like fucking Leonardo da Vinci of violence in that Matt Wyman fight. You know, basically ending careers right there. And then this was a very, very tepid performance. I mean, basically, yeah. So the leg kicks win it, and it was a very, very fucking fight from behind kind of style with the stand up from Levitt. I really just don't get it. But fine, like fuck it. We all get an extra pick to our name. We look a little smarter. I guess I'll take it.
Tough night for Ogden then. Tough night for Estela Nunes. She looked fan-fucking-tastic round 1 for about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it all went wrong. And then it continued to go wrong very, very quickly after that. Yeah. This was a bit of pill to swallow.
I enjoyed this fight. Sam Page did the business. I think like her almost namesake Rampage, she smashed the fucking shit out of some doors after this one. She looked like she was ready to kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, there were so many mistakes. So many mistakes.
Did anyone think the point deduction was going to get her that draw?
No.
I know one judge had it that way, but
not particularly. I think it just completely broke her confidence more than anything else. It was the final nail in her belief, and you could see the way she reacted. She's pleading with the ref, but it was her fault. It was her fault. The fingers were up, but then when Sam Hughes came close, she changed the angle to try and create separation, and it happened a couple of times. And I think the real shame for her is it's very rare that I see somebody who looks so polished in their striking in one round. And it wasn't a case of her seeming to get tired. It was just that as soon as a couple of takedowns got landed, she just froze.
Yeah.
Which does happen. It's a shame because I think there's a really good striker in there. She just needs to work on takedown defense. And I'll say this for Sam Hughes, she needed that win, man. I think she was on 3 losses on the bounce, all pretty dominant. So it was good to see her kind of prove that she can win in the UFC. I think she'd changed gyms. She'd moved to a new place. So it sounded like she'd made a lot of changes in her life. And good to see them pay off.
Yeah, and the biggest thing at that pay level, well, actually at all pay levels, be a fun fighter. Be a fun fighter, be a real fighter. They'll have a hard time cutting you. This was a good performance.
And the card was rounded off at the beginning by Alatenga Ali, making very quick work of Kevin Kroom. I like Kevin Kroom. He's usually pretty durable, but I mean, he got caught clean, rocked, and Alateng wasn't going to let him off the hook once he had him hurt.
Yeah, it's been a while since he got down to this weight. I wonder how much the weight cut kind of set up that knockout, because he did not look as durable as I've seen him before.
No. I mean, what was it? Did he fight? Who did he fight? Where he lost, but he won the whole time.
Yeah, it was at 45.
Didn't get finished by Brian Kelleher. Didn't get finished by Alex Caceres. All at 45. Goes down to 35.
Yeah, the guys fought at 55. The guys fought at 35. I think like a handful of times. I think he's done a couple of 35s and maybe 140 catch weight, and none of them were recently. So yeah, I think this is I don't understand the strategy. I don't think the guy has a style that kind of benefits being like the longer, more technical guy. Like, get in there and fucking scrap, make yourself as durable as possible. Shit, go up to 170 if you need it, but fucking 35 made no sense.
No, it did not work out well for him. That was the card. If we move across to some news very quickly, obviously a lot of news is the fallout of the fights over the week, but we got a couple of tidbits. It's looking like UFC 276 is going to feature an interim heavyweight title fight between John Jones and Stipe Miocic. Nothing signed yet, but it's all looking promising. Conversations are in the process. I'm excited. It's the only 2 guys I want to see in an interim title fight for that belt, and I hope it gets made.
When is this?
MMA gods be good.
What is this?
MMA gods.
276. It would be July.
Okay.
Yeah. Which for John Jones, that's dick pill season. So there's just so many different ways this fight could be taken away from me. I really don't
Fingers
feel okay
crossed.
with
Bilal Muhammad, after his win, is obviously calling out Colby Covington. I think most of us feel like it's going to be Khamzat Chimaev that gets that fight, but I am quite curious to see whether or not Colby Covington entertains it, because he might view it as a much more winnable fight than Chimaev. So I think definitely watch this space. And last thing from my side, in terms of fight announcements, nothing confirmed, but it's looking like Usman Leon Edwards is going to be in August. That's the rumor murmuring. It seems like that's when Usman's hand's going to be fixed.
So late.
I know, but if you look at the lineup, if they have John Jones, Miocic headlining 276, 277 would be the next pay-per-view card that has availability for a main event slot.
Yeah, I suppose August used to be dump season, right? They used to be the pay-per-view where it was just like in fact, before they were doing like the kind of like 14 a year or 13 or 12 a year, I don't think they used to do shit in August. No one really did anything in August. And then, the world kind of slowly changed and they were like, shit, any pay-per-view can be a big one. Just got to make it happen. There's still that part of me that's like, August, just it's not really like the fucking money month, It's kind of a month or two behind, and say like June, July, December, January, and then anything in between potentially could be if you get the right card together. But times are changing. August could be sexy, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to see the fight. I don't care where they book it, as long as it is this year. In the next 4 months, I am happy. Josh, Sly, any MMA news that you guys want to bring up?
No, nothing. I was hoping that there would be some kind of confirmation on the Cejudo, but Dana White's like, oh, he hasn't signed, he's retired. But then there's so many rumors about him fighting.
Dana White saying it definitely won't happen is like one of 5 stages towards something inevitably happening. There's the conception, there's the effort, there's Dana White saying it will never happen, there's the media fallout, and then there's the inevitable hype, and then it's a real fucking thing. It's just part of the process. Right. I think it just sort of means it's definitely fucking happening.
Would anyone give Volkanov's Cejudo a prayer in that fight?
Cejudo was undersized at 35. All right, he got the best of Moraes with a great comeback victory in the last fight that Moraes was good or relevant, and then he beat Dominic Cruz allegedly with a drunk Keith Peterson at the helm. So, like, what the fuck do you want from me? No, he can't win a fight at 45. He barely snuck by DJ at 25. He is one of the best flyweights ever. All right. He also happens to have been a bantamweight champ, a defending bantamweight champ, technically. No.
So just to agree, because I really want to see this fight.
Why don't you?
Because I really want to see this fight as well. But can we just agree? So we all just want to see this fight because we think it would be a bit of a side freak show. Like you just want to see.
I heard he's faster than Izzy. He could probably make 185. Throw him in against Izzy because of the speed advantage and the wrestling. The fuck are we doing? I still want to see it. I think it should happen. Like I said, he can't jump up to 55 right now. We need to fucking get some champions out, some title defenses out at 55. Right, he's got to stay in his fucking lane, win that Max trilogy. And yeah, the Cejudo fight could be a nice little money fight for him. But it's fucking ridiculous.
Cejudo fighting Izzy would look a lot like a chihuahua trying to hump a bloke's leg.
Wow.
Just holding on to one leg, just like, come on.
Should we close it on that then?
They can't think of better thing.
Mexicans.
Guys, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Like the video if you are. Comment if you have something to say. Watch the space for the channel this week. We're going to be doing a pick show for the UFC card, but either with you good selves or on my own or with Laurie if I can. There is a pretty large boxing match happening this weekend. It is Fury versus White for the heavyweight WBC belt. It's at Wembley. It's one of the biggest fights between 2 British heavyweights in a fucking long time. And I'm going to do a preview show for it. So look out for that as well. Apart from that, guys, have a great week. As always, bye Dave, bye Laurie, bye Trifo.
Bye Laurie,
bye
Dave.